opioid crisis has affected many Kentuckians, and medication safety is essential in combating addiction. I am joined by Amanda Broderick from Anthem Medicaid with some tips on medicine safety. Now, when it comes to medicines, why is medicine safety so important?
Well, medication safety is important for a number of reasons. One of the biggest reasons is that to a small child, most medications, they look like common candies, right? You know, they're appealing, they're different colors, different shapes. And every single year there's thousands of kids that are sent to the hospital, and some of them have long-lasting effects, and some of them unfortunately even pass away. But even outside from the younger kids, right, the misuse of prescription drugs is on the rise, and you know, making sure that we keep those locked up and stored safely will help to reduce that risk.
Now, what are some ways that you can lock up those medications, whether it be at home or on the go?
Okay, yeah, so this is something actually a lot of people don't know. Most people think keeping it kind of out of sight, out of mind is enough, but realistically when it comes to addiction, that's not true. So what I have here is actually a medication safety lockbox. So you can use this, it has a lock and key. You can keep your medication stored inside that in your home. Now, if you're someone that needs to take your medication while you're out on the go, we have a locking pill bottle cap, or sometimes, you know, if you have one of those addictive substances, you can even combine them, right? So you can put it in the locking pill bottle cap inside the locking container.
Oh, to make sure there's extra safety. Now, are these like tamper-proof or? Now,
unfortunately, you know, any determined individual is going to be able to get realistically anywhere. But the important thing to note here is that a lot of times people don't realize when their medications are going missing, right? Like you have something in a cabinet, you're not counting it every day. So sometimes it can take months or even years before you realize that someone has been stealing your medications. With this, a determined individual will be able to get into it, but it's going to be blatantly obvious that they've tampered with it, right? So they're going to have to cut through this, they're going to have to smash this. You are going to know somebody has broken into it, which is a lot better than being, you know, clueless.
Right, and here in Kentucky, addiction affects a lot of us. And so what advice would you have to someone who is struggling with addiction?
Right, it is a huge problem really across, you know, the country, but especially here in Kentucky. So what I like to tell people is there is a hotline, 1-833-8KY-HELP. You can call that number and they will get you connected to resources to, you know, help kick that addiction, and they'll get you into treatment or help you find resources near you.
Now, are there any ways, I know I sometimes see of disposal of medication, because you might only be prescribed some opioids for a short amount of time. So what should others do with the medication when they're finished with it?
One of the biggest things a lot of people think is that they should flush them, and that is absolutely not true, because what happens is that ends up seeping into our waterways and the land around the areas that it's leaking out. And you know, it ends up in places it shouldn't. So around most counties and cities there are medication drop boxes, so I would highly recommend locating one of those in your, you know, local to you and making use of it. If you don't need a medication anymore, get rid of it. It's the safest way, is just to not even have it in your house.
So do you recommend getting one of these lock boxes, especially if you have children or around people?
Honestly, I'd recommend one of these lock boxes to everybody. You know, like I said, it's not only just kids, but even, you know, a true person that is seeking these substances, they will find a way to locate them. And really, the harder you make that, the safer it is for you and your family.
Right. And what is the number again for them to call if they need any help?
That number is 1-833-8KY-HELP.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Amanda. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Keep it with us right here on Everyday Kentucky. We'll be back with more right after this.